Okay, Mr. Hassan, let me give you a scenario.
Yes.
And I'm not speaking for the law enforcement here.
Certainly.
Take any year, let's say, last year's budget. I can't remember the figure, but let's say it's 10 trillion. Let's just say it's 10 trillion. And it's much more than that. Now, out of that 10 trillion, let's assume 30% is for capital expenditure. That means you have 3 trillion for capital expenditure. Now, in that 3 trillion, 90% of it is procurement related. Let's not even argue whether they are buying the cars, because if you look at the budget every year, they are buying cars. They are buying
every year.
They are buying
and computers.
Computers every year. So let's forget that let's assume they are even needed. But this is where the corruption takes place. Now, if you just take procurement fraud of 3 trillion per year, how many FCCs are you going to have to handle? How many ICPCs are you going to have? That's why I say it's a systematic thing, not about this pointing at fingers. That's why you see them jumping around all the time, grabbing what they can grab and prosecute what they can't prosecute. And in the long run, they come and say they are not. This system does not help the anti-corruption agencies. And like I said again, I'm not speaking for them. They have their own flaws. But the system needs to address so many of these issues so that there is less burden. Don't forget you have the Bureau of Public Procurement that is supposed to ensure every procurement process is adhered to, not the documentation part. The technical part, there is a lot of due diligence involved in the procurement process. Where is the BPP? What's the BPP doing? All the time they give no objection, no objection, no objection. And it's the same on no objection that you find out fraud has taken place, like the case you cited now of former Attorney General, but they cannot prove it. So these are the issues